Hello aspirants, this is me Yasmin Gill presenting to you the PIB highlights of 15th of January. So you can follow all these videos on this link of an academy, plus you can also rate and review the videos. So friends, if you find the videos are useful, do not forget to rate and review and help us in achieving mission 1000 ratings. And how can you do so? You can just quickly go on an academy, thereby you can search PIB January. So under the highlights course, while clicking on it, under review section you can write your review, plus also give the ratings with the help of stars. So let's begin. Firstly, we have under society related issues Army Day celebration. So Army Day is every year celebrated on 15th of January. And why 15th of January? Because this is the very day when General late Field Marshal K.M. Cariappa took over the command from the last British Commander-in-Chief, who was Sir F.R.R. Butcher. And Mr. Cariappa, he went on to become the first Commander-in-Chief of Indian Army post-independence. Also, a small fact which you might be aware of, that is Amar Jawan Jyoti is present at India Gate. Next, we have CARPs show their discontent. So this is very important. So see, this is from an article in Indian Express. So what has happened is that Jat farmers, particularly of Shamli, Muzaffarnagar, Kairana belt of Western UP, have come forward and spoken of the fact that they won't be voting BJP to power this very year. So the point here is that not the resolution or the declaration which they have made, but understanding CARPs as an institute, CARPs as a social institution, and subsequent demands raised by them. So see, firstly, we have to understand that Jats in general are a prime vote base in that particular area. Also, this vote base along with the CARP institution had helped the BJP win in 2014 as well. Also, the rally right now is very significant. Why? Because it involved the presence of Muslim Jats as well. Otherwise, if you look at the various problems faced by the Jats, whereby they have come out in huge numbers and are rallying, these are the below mentioned are the various problems. Firstly, if you look at the very belt from where they have risen, Shamli, Muzaffarnagar, Kairana belt, a belt which is very famous in India for sugarcane cultivation. So first point relates to the sugarcane cultivation as such. Moreover, we know Jats are an agrarian community. So many points would relate to agrarian distress. So let's go through them. Firstly, sluggish payments from sugar factories, stagnant MSP over years, also crop loan debts are on rise, plus the input costs are increasing, but they are not getting the same on the output side. So while they sell their crops, they do not get the sufficient output price. Also, they had expected sugar exports to be eased, thus bringing them benefits, but even this did not happen. Other than that, they were even forced to sell basmati on low prices. Plus, the government recently, we know, it had waived off the import duty on wheat. This will cause further distress. Also, demonetization has caused Rabi season impact, and also see, all these above mentioned were the agrarian issues, right? But this doesn't end here. Jats have also come out for the demand of reservation, which had already been there, but since it was promised by the current government, therefore the issue has risen more. Also, see what are the various issues or various lens by virtue of which you have to think. Firstly, CARPs as a social mobilization forum. So mobilization to the extent that even Muslim Jats as well as Hindu Jats both have come together and are coming up with this declaration. Next, how bad economics might lead to bad politics. So this is all the impact of bad economics. They are in rural distress. They are in agrarian distress, and therefore this might lead to the political distress for the ruling party. Plus, impact of agrarian distress on even the dominant castes of the region. Lastly, we have reservation issue and linking the growing linkages with respect to agrarian distress. And lastly, vote bank politics, which you did in the first statement as well, because Jats are a considerable vote bank. So all this represents how CARPs work as an institute to, I would say, and in fact as a pressure group as well. Next, adoption regulation. So see, adoption regulation 2017 would be replacing the adoption guidelines of 2015. Why? Because adoption regulations have been mandated under Juvenile Justice Act 2015, and these regulations have been framed by an authority known as CARA, that is Central Adoption Resource Authority. So what has it spoken of? Firstly, it has defined properly the adoption procedures by relatives both within country and abroad. Also, various time limits have been increased. For example, the time period which is available to prospective adopting parents, it has been increased to 20 days from the existing 15 days. Simultaneously, the time period, the validity of the home study report, it has also been increased from 2 to 3 years. Simultaneously, the court declaration time has been decreased. How? See, there are various schedules which have been annexed, and therefore this will promote easy applications which have to be given in court, and therefore court orders can be passed in a faster manner. Also, there have been district child protection units or communities whereby they'll be worked or they'll be constituted with the help of professional social workers. Lastly, CARA, that is the authority which will be managing it, it will facilitate adoptions through its very popular system known as CARINGS. It stands for Child Adoption Resource Information and Guidance System. Lastly, we have post-adoption follow-up as well. So this is regarding the adoption procedure, and hereby we have a question which is, in context of the government of India allowing foreigners to go for adoption of Indian children and not surrogacy. We recently know under surrogacy guidelines, the foreigners have been prohibited from going from surrogacy. Do you think surrogacy should also be given green signal for foreigners who account for bulk of the demand of the industry? So, do analyze this issue, plus analyze it from the viewpoint that the people who are supposedly the victims of surrogacy, that is the women in various areas, particularly in Anand in Gujarat, which has become a surrogacy hub, they are themselves in favor of surrogacy. Though that should not be there, but they should be provided an alternative livelihood simultaneously. So do analyze this question. Next, we have Khelo India national level competition. So to be held in Delhi, it will be organized by Sports Association of India under the control of Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. Also, specifically in Delhi, they'll be holding just 3 competitions or 3 games, which is swimming, cycling and wrestling. Though there'll be various other games, but that will not be held in Delhi. That will be held in various other cities. Next, we have human right violation. So this is an article from Indian Express, also very important. So what has happened was, in 2015, various women in Chhatisgarh's remote villages close to Bijapur had alleged rape and sexual assault by the state police personnel. Now, why is it important? Because in 2017 itself, that is around January 7th, NHRC, that is National Human Rights Commission, had filed a report, its report on this particular issue, that yes, they are prima facie the victims of human right violation, and simultaneously it has sent show cause notices to government of Chhatisgarh. Now, what are the various issues at hand? Firstly, we have to analyze all these issues with respect to the area where this has taken place. So with respect to that area, we'll be analyzing these issues. The first one being that this particular area is very low in connectivity owing to its recent Maoist liberalization. So it is a recent Maoist liberated zone, and thereby the area connectivity is very less. Plus, the population in these villages are usually very spread out, and the communication even within the villages is only via word of mouth, and very low and very tough issue. Plus, due to this lack of communication, they fail to get the exact or the correct court dates where they have to appear. Even going to the courts to record statements by women have become very difficult. Plus, this difficulty is even harder because of the loss of livelihood that occurs due to the whole travel journey. Plus, the livelihood is also very tough. It is dependent on forests, fields, etc. Also, the land holdings are very small, and they have to sell weekly in the hearts or the traditional tribal markets. By them also they do not get much of it. Also, the agriculture here is heavily rain dependent. Plus, there is no side employment provided by government as well. Other than that, there have been certain areas of insensitivity shown even by the court itself. So what Bijapur court did was, firstly it issued NBW, that is non-bailable warrants against them for not coming to issue the statements. But later on, when it got to know about the issue facing the connectivity issues and the travelling and the livelihood issues, yes, the non-bailable warrants were withdrawn. Other than that, we have even the state police, which is very much less proactive or less active rather. So what have they done? They have not even gone for identification processes of the people involved. Other than that, even CID has found it difficult to conduct investigations. Why? A very important point here is that, see, these amount of cases due to lack of connectivity, they come to light after many days. And by the passing of those days, even the medical evidence is tough to gather. So this is all the issue which is related to human right violation in such areas. So here is a question. The question says that NHRC, that is National Human Rights Commission, as an institution is losing teeth. Discuss and suggest ways to overcome such crisis of governance at hand. Next, we have under Polity and Governance, passing away of Shri Surjit Singh Barnala. So this has been condoned recently by President of India. So he was the former Chief Minister of Punjab, plus even held the portfolio of Governor of various, I will not say portfolio, even held the post of Governor of various states. Simultaneously, he also held various portfolios in context of being a Union Council of Minister. So which were the portfolios? Agriculture and chemical and fertilizers. So you need not go into the portfolio section. It's important if you are giving Punjab's examination. Otherwise, mere the post, that is Chief Minister as well as Governor, is sufficient. Next, we have under economy section, why should RBI be autonomous? We have been recently talking about RBI autonomy. So why should it be autonomous? So directly answer is given here by virtue of points. You may just go through it. Because RBI has a very important target, that is inflation targeting role, and RBI has to protect its own independence, in particularly using whichever tool it wants to use to curb down inflation or target inflation. Next, currency management. Autonomy actually upholds the trust in public. Also, it has to act as a regulator for the banking system, regulator for payment banks, plus it also has to manage the debt of government, and lastly financial stability. And in context of all these very important roles, it is not just like any other regulator, but it has the autonomy which has to be given to RBI is very, very important. Next, we have SEZ India. So this is an app launched by Commerce Ministry in order to enable better transactions by SEZ units. It has 4 sections as given here. Next, we have under environment. It is not actually under environment, it is actually under the disaster management thing. So we'll be analyzing the recent mining incident which took place in Jharkhand's Goda district. It was Lal Matia open cast coal mine whereby workers were trapped under debris. So what are the issues at hand? See, firstly, the Director General of Mines himself has conceded to the fact that it was not a technical factor, rather neglect of safety parameters as such. Also, see, it was under the control of CIL, that is Coal Industries Limited. But the work was outsourced to a private company which is very lax related to the safety parameters. Other than that, if you look at the beginning of it or the historical background, the Coal Mines Nationalization Act itself came on the premise that okay, we are taking over the mining operations from private, accusing them of the safety parameters, and now even the government related operations are not being conducting proper safety, and they have been even outsourcing it to private again. Also, see, it has been known very well that many accidents occur during transportation as well as the use of explosives. No amount of proper, I would say, care is given to the long worker experience. So in this particular case, what happened was, see, please focus on this point very clearly. So what happened was the earth or the mud, whichever is scooped out to reach out to coal seam, it was collected on 3 sides of the working face of the mine. So what happened was, with time, that earth actually caved in and buried the workers. But the important point is that workers had initially complained of cracks in the slope, but authorities did not care for it. Therefore, worker experience, which is sometimes very long, is not even bothered of. Lastly, inquiry reports, they are not taken seriously. Even the compensation amount which is given is it takes a lot of time. Simultaneously, many of these workers are contract labor workers and do not have other sort of welfare benefits and rely merely on compensation amount. Also, Human Rights Watch Group way back in 2012 had given a similar account related to iron mines of Goa and Karnataka, but still no proactive measures were taken to prevent such an accident. Also, community harm on local farmers by way of degradation of the, I would say, the land which is present there, so making it unfit for agriculture later on. So what could be the way forward? It has to be a multi-pronged strategy whereby rights of workers, local residents as well as environment protection has to be taken into account. Other than that, certain various issues with mining industry in general include as follows. For example, they include child labor employment, illegal mining, corruption in sanctioning of project, contract labor from outside, and this is purposely done. Why contract labor is from outside? To prevent or to circumvent local protest. Then we have human right violations of locals, which are primarily tribals. So these are all the issues related to mining. And also a recent disaster which took place, that is a boat capsized in Ganga River in Bihar, Patna, unfortunately. So these are the MCQs which were asked in today's MCQ session, so you may go through them. This was related to map related question. Then we had question related to wet foot, dry foot policy, and lastly about National Board for Wildlife. So that's it for today, friends. If you find the initiative useful, do not forget to rate and review it. Thank you so much.